Hello, this is Blaster Toad here, and welcome back to Nuts for Guts, the platformer that I am building here as a tutorial, as we all build a platformer from scratch. Yay, that is my super excited announcer voice. Woo! But anyway, yes, we're back in Unreal Engine here, continuing our basic intro to platformers in a tutorial series where in this episode we're going to make a door. That sounds way less exciting than it actually is. So let's get started. So if you remember from last episode, or hopefully you're just coming from last episode, we set up all of our content, we set up this nice hazards folder, and so that it didn't disappear, we put in some content. And that content was a class underscore switch, which is just a blueprint actor. Okay? And then we copied it and made this closed switched actor. Or class switched actor, sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to set these two up so that when we trigger this, it does something over here. Okay? Now that's exciting. Okay, let's get to it. So we are going to open our class switch. So we're going to double click on that. We are now going to minimize, not close, but minimize that window. We're going to double click on switch actor. And then we're going to double click it again. Okay. So this is going to bring it up as we've got tabs now here in the corner that I can go to my switch and I can go to my switched actor and back and forth and vice versa and all that. Okay. And then here we want to, on our class switched actor, we want to open full blueprint editor right here. Okay, because that's going to show us the same thing we've got for our switch. Nice. Okay, so a little bit of setup. On both of these, we are going to make a new variable. So we're going to do a new variable. We are going to call this SwitchIndex. Okay. And over on our class switch, we're going to do the same. SwitchIndex. And instead of being a boolean, so if we click on this here, it shows our variable type over here. Some people have it showing up down here. That's just dependent on how you have your editor set up. But either way, we want to go to variable type, and we want to change that to an integer. Okay, so we're going to go back to our other switch index, change to a integer. Perfect. Okay. Nice. Okay. So what we are going to do here now is on our class switch. Let's make sure we're on a switch. We're going to compile and save. Always a good idea to do that. And we're going to start adding things to our switch. So, what do I want to add to my switch? I'm going to make a fancy switch. Last time I did this, I made a lame one. Today I'm going to make a fancy switch. So, I am going to do a cylinder. Okay. I'm going to click on that cylinder. I'm going to click E to rotate it. And I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees. Okay. And then I'm going to hit R to scale it down. Okay. Now I am going to add a component. I'm going to add a box. Nope, not a box. I want a cube. Okay, and we want this as handle. And we want this as base. Okay. Oh, I am still editing base. I do not want to do that. I want to edit handle. And we're going to make it nice and thin that way. Nice and thin that way. And then we're going to make it a bit longer. Okay. And then we are going to rotate. By 30? By 30. That is a good visual representation. Okay. And then the important part is box collision. Okay. And this box collision we want to make larger. This box collision we are going to scale. So R to scale. Grab it right in the center. And we're going to make it bigger. Okay. And then W to translate again. And I'm going to move it right up there. Okay. Because in my level, it's going to be cut off here. I want to be placing it right so that that's cut off. Okay. There we go. That's my switch. And we'll see what we're doing with that switch in just a moment. I'm going to make my box trigger a little bigger yet. And there we go. Compile, save. Okay. So, now we're going to go over to our... Now we're going to stay right here. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, with our box trigger selected, or our box collision as the component type, we're going to come over here to its properties. We are going to scroll down. And we've got on component begin overlap. We want that. Okay. And then we want to go back and we want to, so we can just click here, we want on component end overlap. And there we go. Okay. And what are we at? We're at 6 minutes. We're going to make this a really cool switch. So, what we're going to do is we are going to, when the other actor comes into here, actually we don't even need to get the other actor for this, never mind. We are going to on begin overlap. So when something walks into its space, we are going to get our handle. Okay, so we're just going to pull that from there, give this a little get, and we are going to set local. So set local rotation is what I want. Can I? Set rotation. Set relative rotation. There we go. And then on the y-axis, I want that to go -20. So hopefully, when I walk into the box, and we're just going to test this really quick, because like I said, this is all by the seat of my pants. I have not done this before. We are building this as we go. So, and then we want to get our location and zero out our Y. We are doing a 2D game. So now when I walk into that box, I'm going to move our player start back. When I walk into that box, it should flip the handle. Really? That's it? Okay, so it's doing it relative from its current position, I guess. So we're gonna go set rotation. I'm gonna drag off handle and set rotation. Sure, we're gonna set world rotation to Y -20. We're going to get rid of the relative 1 and set the world 1. Compile, save, and play. It is disappointing me. Rotation on Y is 30? Oh. Yeah. Oh, that is why. I already have it at negative. Because I am being stupid. Woo! Okay, so we want off our handle. set relative. Yes, set relative rotation. And we want that to be plus 30. Okay. Yay, we flicked the switch. Okay. So when we walk into the switch, it rotates the handle. And I think that's really cool. You should too. Okay. The other thing it's going to do is it is going to, and we're just going to pull off here so we get the search bar. This is going to get all of class is what I was going to type in, but we get all actors of class. Okay, so in our level, it's going to find all the actors of a certain class that we tell it to, or a certain name that we tell it to. So, and I'm just going to spend a bit of time straightening that all up. So what we're going to do here is we are going to, in actor class, we're going to hit that little drop down in our search bar, type switched, because we want class switched actor that we previously made. Okay? Now with the handle, or with like these other things, we're getting a single pin. We get that nice circle. Over here, we're getting this funny square. Okay? The circle is a single reference. Okay? So this is getting an absolute reference to the handle, or an absolute reference to the one other actor that has walked into the zone. This, on the other hand, is getting all of the actors of the class we told it to. So if we have, say we're making this into a door, if we have 12 doors out there, it's going to get all 12 doors. Okay? And that's why we made this here SwitchIndex on both the switch and the switch actor. We made that SwitchIndex. Okay? It's going to be very important in just a moment. So, now that we know that we're getting as many things as are out in the world, we need to do something for every one of them. So we're going to drag off here, and we're going to start typing in for each. So for each loop. And what this is, for those of you not aware, that is an array. So it's an array, or a group of things in a list. And then for everything in the list, we are going to do this. And that is, we are going to, the array element, so what we get, we are going to then get switch index. Okay? So we get the index of the switched item. And then we're going to pull from here. We are also going to get our own switch index from the switch. We're getting it from both the switched item and the switch. We want to pull off the top one to make it clean, and then type in equals, and we're going to get equal integer. So are these two the same? Then we're going to pull off, and we are going to do branch. And what the branch is that is an if statement. If this is true, so it's a true and false, really, is what it is. So, are these two equal? Is that true, or is it false? If it's true, we do one thing. If it's false, we do another thing. Okay? So in this case, if it's true, we need to have it do something on the switch. Okay, so we're going to come over here. We're going to get rid of all of this. And we are going to use these. These are cool. Event dispatchers. And you'll figure out why in just a moment. So we're going to add a new here. And we are going to call this open event. And we're going to call it close event. Okay, so we can either tell it to open or close. In that case, we want another variable here. We're going to add one more variable, And we are going to call it open switch. Or open true. That's what we want. Open true. Okay? Gonna pull this out here, and we are going to make that a Boolean. Yes, we're going to change the variable type. Okay. Compile, save, get rid of all that stuff. And what we're doing with this is we're going to run another branch. So, branch. Okay. So, we checked if the switch and the switched item have the same number. Okay? This is just a number we're putting in here, so we could number door 1. So, switch 1 opens door 1. Or switch 2 drops boulder 2. So we can link them up that way. The other thing we're doing here is with open true, we're going to check, okay, is this a opening or is this a closed door? The open is open true. If true, we want to drag from here and we want to do the open event. And we are going to call open event. And if it's false, so if open is not true, then we are also going to drag off here. And we are going to call closed event. Okay? So this we can tell the switch what door to operate, and whether it should open it or whether it should close it. Okay, a very, very useful switch. And then to make things clean here, we can double click on the strings. And if we double click on the strings, that just lets us do that. We can make everything clean. We can see exactly where everything's coming from. And right click here, straighten. Keeping it clean really helps later as you go back to edit things. There we go. So this line definitely comes from here, goes there, da-da-da-da-da. There we are. And that's our switch for now. Okay. So we move the handle, or we throw the handle, because that is a fun little thing to do. And then we get all the doors or whatever other items we're going to have operate off the switch. We're going to check if it has the same number as the switch, so that the switch is only operating those of the same number. And then we're going to check whether the switch opens or closes the door. I think that's good. Okay, this will only activate one thing, and it will only do one thing on that one. Or this can activate multiple things, because any of the doors with the same number will be activated, but it's going to open all the doors of the same number. So it's not like you can open one door and close another at this point. We don't have that built in. We might do that later, but it's a bit much for right now. Okay, so we're going to compile and save. And on our class switched actor, that's it. We don't do anything else here. Okay? And that's where things seem a little bit obtuse, but there is a good reason for it. So we're now going to minimize. And on our switched actor, where we set up our variables and we set up our events, we are going to then do a create child blueprint class. Now this is really, really cool. So this one we're going to call door. Okay? And what this means is that this here, because we right-clicked and did create a child, it has everything that its parent has. So if we go in here, it doesn't show anything here, but if we go show inherited variables, see, it's got that open and close event, it has that switch index, it has all that. So that way, in our switch, we don't have to say, look for doors. We can tell it, look for anything that's switched. And then because we're making a child of the switch, what it finds could be a door, it could be a boulder, it could be a trap, as long as we're making it a parent of, or a child of the switched actor. Okay? So now that we're in our door, we are going to make a door. Go figure. So we are going to add a cube. We are going to stretch out this cube to be a massive door. Okay, so there's our door. Like, not super pretty or anything, but it will function. And then on our event graph, gonna get rid of all this. We're going to right-click, event, begin play. Right there, event begin play. Okay, so when this starts existing in the world, okay, and we're gonna take our open event and pull it off, and we're gonna say bind. And we're going to take our close event, and we're going to pull it off, and we're going to bind, okay? And we're just going to hook those all up like that. So what this does is that these here are going to be called by the parent, okay? But that does nothing for us. And again, to see those there, sorry, you have to hit the little I here and show inherited variables. Or you can right-click and do bind closed event, blah, blah, blah. You can do that in the search box as well. I just like hiding this afterwards. Okay? But when these are called on the parent, they do nothing yet. So what we're telling them to do is that when this happens, we're going to have it do a different event yet. So in this case, we're going to do a custom event. We're going to call this one open. And we're going to Control-C, and then click over here, Control-V, double-click the title, and then we're going to call this one close. Okay? So we've got an open and a close. And we're just going to tie these up to that. So now, whenever the switch says do the open event, the door knows that, okay, if the open event's happening, we're actually doing this. Or if the close event is happening, we're actually going to come do this. Okay? And that makes us have very, very configurable setups. Okay? Now for open, we are going to make it very simple. We aren't going to do any rotation on this because we're already running out of time. So we are going to do a collision. So we are going to set collision, I believe. Set collision enabled. That's what we want to do. And in this case, it automatically grabbed our cube. Otherwise, like, we can pull our cube out and tie that in. And we just want to set when it's open to no collision. And we also want to pull off our cube, and we want to set visibility. There we go. And we're going to double click here and move that around just so we have the nice lines. Straighten connection to the reroute. Straighten connection to that. And we want it not visible. And we're going to copy all this. Bring it down here. And we are going to set the collision type to collisions enabled. And we're going to set visibility to true. So when it's open, the door disappears for us. And when it's closed, it comes back. Okay. Now, to do a test, we are going to have... Let's see, how we're going to do this. We're going to put a door right here. And we're going to do another switch. going to put the switch behind us. We're going to zero out its rotation, or its location there. And we're going to rotate it the other way around, because we want the switch being pulled towards the character. Okay. Now, on the switch, we now have... Where are you? We don't have it. Okay, so we're going to go into here, and with this switch index and open true, we are going to put the little eyeballs open. And then we're going to compile and save. And we're going to do the same thing for our switched actor. We're going to get our switch index and open up that eyeball, and then compile and save. So now, we should be able to see, when we click on our switch, there we go, switch index. So we're going to call this switch index 3, and open is true. On our door, we've got switch index here now. We're going to set that to 3. Okay, so remember the switch number and the door number have to be the same. So 3 and 3, and that's opening 3, and then this one will also be 3, but we want open true to be off. It will not open. This one's actually going to close the door for us. We're going to pull that switch over there. So now if we play, come this way, switch gets thrown, door opens. If we come this way, switch gets thrown, and door closes. See, exciting stuff. So let's just go over a really quick run through of what we did again. So, with our switch and our switched actor, or our switched thing, however you called it, in our switch, we made a collision box. So we're just going to go over the important stuff. The handle is just for fun. But we made a collision box, and we set up the on component begin overlap. So when something gets inside that box, what happens? Well, what happens is we throw our switch, which was unimportant. But the important stuff is we find all of those switched actors. Okay? And then for every one of those switched actors, we do some checks. We check, does it have the same number? So, does it have the same index? Is switch 1 activating door 1? And so on and so forth. And then the other thing we did is we checked, does the switch open or close the door? Is it true that it opens it? Or is it false that it opens it, that it would then close? Okay? And then when all of those checks are done, we then either open the door or we close the door. Okay? Then, on the switch closed, we just made those events, the open and close event, so that it can actually be triggered over here. And we made the switch index so that the doors and the switches can have numbers that correspond. After that, we made a child of this. So we right-clicked and created a child, and that way, what was made afterwards had all of that information. It had the switch index, it had the events that were called, and then on that, we told it, when that event is called, actually do this. So when open event is called, actually we're going to run open. And that open makes our door invisible. Or when the closed event is called, we're actually going to do this and close the door, and then we made the door visible again. And our final result is opening a door and closing a door. And the switch only opens or closes it. I can't now switch that to go back. Okay. But yeah, that is our door switch. So one puzzle element to our platformer. And we'll be back next time, and I'll figure out what we're going to do for then. So yeah, see you later, and it's going to be fun. Bye for now.